2, 3. What's going on, everyone? This is your boy Ice Revolver over at AAA Gaming Network. Also, check us out at AGN Podcast, on Google Podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. So today I just want to talk about the new council, possibly a new council, a fourth council coming out. I think they said in about 2 or 3 years or so. Possibly called the Mad Box. That I'm pretty sure that's not official. This is something that they're probably just throwing out there, probably like a code name right now. But it's brought to you by Slightly Mad Studios. If you guys don't know who they are, really the only game I've known them for is Project Cars. I could look them up to see what more they've done, but I think that's still probably going to be like their best known project. It's Project Cars. What are my feelings on having a new council, a fourth council? I really like having a fourth council in the runnings, in the council wars right now, or at least in a couple years. Possibly in a couple years, having a fourth council. And that's right around the time that the new councils would be coming out. It should be around the time the Xbox 2 or whatever it's going to be officially called comes out, and possibly the PS5, if it doesn't come out this year, will be coming out next year. So yeah, I'm very excited for it, and I think a lot of people think when they hear for another council is more money to spend, whether it's on the council or maybe you got a whole nother game format that developers have to develop games for, so maybe longer development cycles or whatever. But I think the last time we actually had kind of 4 councils in rotation was around the Dreamcast era, where I think it was around the PlayStation 1, the original Xbox, the GameCube, and the Sega Dreamcast. Didn't all come out in the same year, but they were out in rotation as far as being played on a regular, all 4 around, which was it was nice. It was very exciting. I'm thinking of the innovation part of it. A council, especially a new council, normally brings something with it, an innovation aspect of gaming that other companies that's probably been in it for a while probably has easily overlooked, or maybe it didn't fit their council, so maybe it was something that they just didn't put in. I go back to, I think it was Sega CD or maybe Sega Saturn. Let me know in the comments below. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the two, I think, was the first council to actually have a internet port. Way later on, it wasn't until I believe the Dreamcast actually. I remember having the I still have my Dreamcast. I remember the Sega Dreamcast having the DSL telephone jack in the back of it, and you can play online to a degree. There was certain games you can play online. But that opened up the door to a lot of other things for councils. Going back to PlayStation and Sega CD. First council to bring discs, and that became a wave. The Nintendo 64. First council, or at least I could be wrong on this. Correct me if I'm wrong on this also, because I could easily go back to probably my Intellivision and say it kind of had an analog, because it had a big circular button that you can kind of move, but I'm not sure of the mechanics of that. I think it was my Intellivision. A long time ago. It was like 80s. I think that was the Intellivision, but I'm not sure if that was considered an analog. But fast forward to the Nintendo 64, actually introduces what's known in patent analog to a controller, changes controllers for the rest of the futures. Sega Dreamcast's controller is pretty much the Xbox controller. The Xbox controller is pretty much modified off of the Sega Dreamcast controller. So even if you don't like the fact of having the fourth console and think, oh man, if I want all consoles, I got to buy another one or whatever the case is, or if you're the type of person to buy multiple games for multiple systems, you think of it from a money aspect. I'm thinking of it from an innovation aspect. What can that console bring to gaming that the other consoles are overlooking or not bringing? That's where I'm thinking of. What is that console going to introduce that the other consoles haven't thought of, or we haven't thought of, or just is going to be like the next revolutionary thing? Is it going to bring modular components to consoles? Because from what I've read, they're going to try to put it on par with kind of PC specs. I guess it's going to be decked out. Is it going to be modular? That'd be dope. I remember Xbox or PlayStation, one of them was talking about it like a year or so ago, that you could possibly change out some of the parts of the system, but then that never happened. So they could bring that, and then once they bring that, other people are going to want it from their consoles, their respected consoles that they play on a regular basis. So I like that. I like that idea. What about first party games? We're going to have another wave of actual first party games, or possibly first party games that we haven't had already, because PlayStation reuses that. They have a nice size, a really nice size first party catalog, but they bring titles back also, along with Xbox have a decent amount of current first party games, but they kind of reuse a lot of them too. Then Nintendo's is always, they're very good for their first party titles. They're mostly known for their first party titles. Now we're going to have another set of first party titles that can possibly be good or great games, with great stories and great ideas that we haven't thought of or we haven't seen. So I'm thinking more of what the games are bringing more than I am thinking about the money aspect of what I'll be spending on the console or the games. I'm very interested in seeing what happens or what comes from this. There is some pictures. I'm gonna try to put some in here. If you're watching this on Facebook or possibly YouTube, then you can see the pictures and whatnot. If you're on the podcast, check this video out on the Facebook at AAA Gaming Network, or on YouTube possibly at Ice Revolver. But if you're on the podcast, of course you can't see the visuals that's going on right now. I'm going to try to put some of the pictures up, but the beginning specs look like a PC in the shape of an M for Madbox. All right. But the ones that just uploaded today, I'm going to try to put those in here. It actually looks pretty slick. It's thin, low to the ground in height, as far as well, not as far as, but in a similar fashion to the PS4, and it kind of leans like the PlayStation. But it has like some blue lights that goes around. It looks like a slimmed down PC version of like a PC, or if you was to put a PC in a console form, that's what it looks like. You guys can go on Twitter, you can find pictures of it. For those of you who don't know, you can check out at Bell, that's BELL_SMS. That's Ian Bell SMS group. They're the ones that's behind this project. So shout out to them and everyone over there, for the Madbox that's hopefully coming. Shout out to everyone at Slightly Mad Studios. So if you hear me say SMS, that's Slightly Mad Studios. Shout out to them, and hopefully, I'm hoping that they get this off the ground. We really need that. Well, I feel like we really need that, especially if you take into account that we really only have two hardcore gaming consoles. The Nintendo is on its own as far as its platform. It's in a whole nother league. It doesn't try to be the most powerful and bring you the most graphically enhanced. That's not Nintendo's lane. So when it comes to power, when you want, I want 4K, and I want, the people that's trying to push that is the PlayStation and Xbox. If you want the Halos and the God of Wars and the Nathan Drakes and whatever else you might like that's out there, along with the Forzas and Spider-Mans and more, you want those graphically enhanced, those graphically like pushed to the edge to where the realism is there, and the environments is there, and you're just so immersed in what's going on in the environments that it's crazy. Those are the two consoles you have to go to. So with this console coming into play, I feel like that's going to push Sony and Xbox more, because normally for the past few years or whatever, actually more than a few years, about 8 years now, about 8-9 years now, they have just been playing off each other, really. They just really have to outdo one other person. Microsoft is just trying to beat Sony. Sony is just trying to graphically push to the next limit over Microsoft. The Xbox and PlayStation are just button heads, and it's a good competition, don't get me wrong, but when you have lack of competition, we see what happens. The industry, in any particular industry, gets stale. You see it in games all the time. It happens when you don't have competition. We see it with Madden because it doesn't have competition. We see it in 2K when it really didn't have competition. It's the 2K basketball. It got stale for a while when it didn't have that competition, because Live Pass fell off, and then they wasn't putting out games for whatever reason, and whatever the case. But we've seen it in a lot of genres where if the lack of competition causes any particular industry to be stale. Because there's nothing to feed off of, there's nothing to push you mentally, there's nothing for you to get that urge to innovate, to be better than, when there's nothing to be better than. Only thing you're doing at that time is trying to make a better product than your last. Hopefully that's what you're trying to do, make a better product than your last. But that really doesn't take that much effort to do, especially given another year or whatever the case is. So I feel like a third competitor in the hardcore gaming is going to be real nice. Someone to keep Microsoft and Sony on their toes. I'm going to really enjoy this. Also, it brings the question, why haven't someone else did this? Now, for the longest, I thought Sega was going to come back. I know their situation. At least I think I know their situation. Quote me or put in the comments if I'm wrong. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, put in the comments if I'm wrong. Correct me, right? I think someone passed at Sega, or was passing at Sega, right? This is what I heard at the time, and he didn't want them to focus on hardware no more, just software. So when the Dreamcast went down, that's what they did, just focus on software. And I could be wrong about that, but that's what I heard at the time. But I always thought they was gonna make a Sega Dreamcast too. I want a Sega to come back. They got patents for other controllers and things like that came out like 2 years ago or so. So I thought they was doing another console. But if a video game developer, this is Slightly Mad Studios. Now I don't know their reach. I don't know the people they know. I don't really know the money that they have. But in my opinion, they haven't made a whole lot of games to have like an abundance of money. We have companies that have that type of money, but they haven't made a console. There's so it's like, why now? Not saying it's bad. I'm enjoying it. I like it. But why having another developer or anyone else come in before and say, you know what, let's make a console, get in here. If they can do it, we can have more. I'm not saying we shouldn't necessarily have more. I don't think we should have too many consoles. Four would be a good number, a great number for a while. But that's just the question I ask myself. Like, dang, if they can do it and they develop a few games, why nobody else has did it? Just something that I thought to myself. Have any of you guys thought about that, or asked yourself that? I have. That's just me. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you like the fact that we're going to have a fourth council or a third hardcore council? However you want to look at it. What about the pictures? If you looked at the pictures, go look at the pictures. If you haven't, again, I'll give you the Twitter name. All right, he's posting pictures. I'm not going to post all the pictures. If you're watching this on Facebook, I'm just going to post the ones that I like. One is like a futuristic PC. It's also like a cubed version. Kind of looks square. I'm not going to put the original one up there because it was just ugly, but it looks like just a PC in the shape of an M, though. Whatever. But that's Ian Bell, IAN space Bell space SMS space group, or that's when you can search, or at Bell, that's BELL, Bravo Echo Lima Lima underscore SMS, Sierra Mike Sierra. All right, so that's at Ian Bell underscore SMS. So check that out, you guys.